I just want to see if people like get excited because they see my face. I'm showing my face. Hello. It's me.
Hi beautiful people, welcome back. Hope everybody is doing fantastic wherever you are in this world. Thank you so much to all that responded to my posting in regard to my absence. You guys are so sweet and I appreciate each and every one of you. I first of all apologize for my absence. This is not me complaining. I'm just giving you guys an explanation of where I've been for these past 2 weeks. It has been nothing but busy, hectic and challenging. From doctor and specialist visits the whole of the previous week, and just a side note, health insurance sucks in the United States. And also to being stuck on the interstate for nearly 4 hours. My week could not get any worse at that point. Then come Labor Day, I think my mom actually picked up a bug at church on Sunday, because from Sunday evening into Monday, the whole of Monday, Tuesday, she was so sick. And then it was just like a snowball effect. Since last week Monday till today as I filmed this video, my dad is the last one to have gotten sick. So last week was a week of just sanitizing, cleaning up after whoever was sick on that specific day. And to make things worse, nobody just all got sick at once. It was just everybody was one at a time. Each day the next person got sick and then the next person got sick. And side note again, you know that green machine, I'll actually insert a picture in here. It is absolutely a lifesaver, because this house, everybody and every day somebody was sick. And thank God that the baby did not get sick, because both her parents ended up also getting sick with this bug. It was so tiring and so challenging because everybody depended on me. Then on Sunday, unexpectedly, I had to take a trip out of town to Texas. I left here, I think it was probably 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and was back home by 11 o'clock in the morning. And on my way back from Texas, following a truck, my stone kicked up from the ground and hit my daughter's windshield because I was driving her car. And I'm watching this crack, and as we continue driving, this crack is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I'm like, what more can go wrong at this point? When I got home, I thought I've got to fix this car immediately, because this crack is just going to get bigger and bigger. And at this point, I was so exhausted, because you guys, for the past 2 weeks, I don't even think I've slept more than 2 hours at a time. I took it down to one of these auto shops, and when they told me that I got to pay the $500 deductible, I was like, you got to be kidding me. I felt so defeated at this point that when I got into the car, I just sat there and I just burst out crying. Not because I couldn't handle anything, but that's how I get when I'm frustrated. I feel things are out of my control. So I had my daughter in the car with me with baby, and she was like, Mom, just let it out. And you guys, I just sat there in the car and I just prayed just for strength, mercy and grace. As I was getting myself together, composing myself, my baby girl Abigail, who was 13 years old, she said to me, and her exact words were, Mommy, it's okay, you have to be exhausted, and remember, you always tell us it always seems impossible until it's done. And that just made me break down again, because that was pure love and concern. And I could not tell you at that moment, it just like hit me like a ton of bricks to say, okay, you had your moment, you need to get over it. But it is what it is. We just got to pick ourselves up and keep it moving forward. So that's where I have been for the past 2 weeks. Then yesterday, when I also returned home, and people were asking me to please reach out to Charlotte, because apparently YouTube has taken her channel down. I did reach out to Charlotte, and she explained that 9 o'clock Monday morning her channel was terminated for severe community guidelines, but they couldn't even tell her which ones she violated and on what videos. And she says that the most that she's gotten on her videos are probably copyright claims, but she is appealing the termination of her channel, and as of this morning she has got no response which is so weird. And as she did mention, what she can only think of is mass flagging, which I wouldn't put it past anybody, because I do believe she's been reporting on a whole lot of drama with all these other channels and that Michelle person. So I hope that's not the case and people aren't being that petty. But for the most part, she is appealing it. I did send her a message asking if she is streaming from Kick or if she has another backup channel, and she didn't reach out to me. But by the time I'm finished editing this video and she does reach out to me, I'll leave all her information down below. So if you guys know what she can do or lead in the right direction, please feel free to reach out to Charlotte, because at the end of the day, I think this is how she supports herself. Now, moving on to exactly why we are here today. And I do suggest that you guys grab yourself a cup of coffee, a cup of tea. This is going to be a long video. I apologize if you guys are not into the long videos, but there is a lot to cover. So on September 1st, Katie Joy Paulson, aka Without a Crystal Ball, has crawled out from under her rock, to which it was like, she really thought that maybe this was her big break. Katie Joy was announcing that she did an interview with Fox 13 News Utah about the Ruby FRANKE situation. Now, I have never ever done something like this before, but there's always a first time. And I'm talking about asking people not to watch her coverage of this horrible situation. And the reason I say that is because as a survivor of CSA myself, and as a mother, and as a decent human being, I'm trying to get ahead of this, because I know full well how inappropriate Katie Joy is and how far she would go. On numerous occasions, she has been so disrespectful and inappropriate when discussing sensitive topics like this. And since further details have come out of the awful accusations Ruby FRANKE has made against her kids, my first thought was, oh no, Katie Joy cannot be reporting on this. Is this the reason why she decided to come back to YouTube and show her face? Because as you will see in this video, Katie Joy decided to feel the waters, going live on her Instagram, not getting the best reception. Then she went AWOL again, and as soon as these allegations that Ruby FRANKE came out about her kids, she made her appearance again, showing her face on YouTube. Because one thing that I've observed about Katie Joy, it's like she gets a kick out of talking about ABUSE. And it is so sickening. It's stomach turning. And the way she conducts herself when talking about these horrific situations, the way she smiles, the way she has this glee on her face, that's totally inappropriate. That's not the time to have the glee on your face, the smile, the smirk, whatever you want to call it. It is absolutely disgusting. I kid you not, covering Katie Joy for a hot minute now, I've experienced it time and time again. And in this video, I'm going to show you guys proof of how inappropriate Katie Joy is, how fake she is. Because on YouTube, she has this persona of being concerned. She's an advocate. She's just out for victims. No. Go to her Instagram. You'll get a total opposite of that person that claims to be an advocate. I'm also going to show you the lies she tells, how she embellishes stories and even misrepresents stories. She, in my opinion, exploits victims, and I cannot see her do this again, and especially use these kids, in my opinion, to get back at the parent for how she feels what the parent did to her, how the parent tried to shut her up. And I'm talking about in reference to when Ruby FRANKE sent her cease and desist, which I'm going to read you. I'm going to read you a statement that she made where she talks about this. This woman is so despicable. She knows no boundaries. And if we go back and look at her past behavior, how Katie Joy, without a crystal ball, called a victim at that time, no matter what happened since then, but at that time when this child was crying out for help, she said, no, there's nothing wrong with her. She's a brat. And further went on to get one of her subscribers to go to the Texas courthouse and get this minor's court records. Let that sink in. She herself sat on a panel with 2 other women and boldly stated with confidence that she believed that her son was capable of committing murder because of his disabilities, whereas he could be easily manipulated. What mother does that? These kids, they need love, they need support, privacy, respect. She has already reached out. Katie Joy has already reached out to the oldest son's acquaintance. No other YouTuber, legal network, LawTube has done such a thing. She goes too far. She knows no boundaries. They are babies. They've been through what it sounds like hell. They do not need somebody like Katie Joy exploiting them or their story to get back at their mother. Hey friends, I'm sorry that I mispronounced Ruby's last name. I knew it was mispronounced the entire video, but didn't have the time to re-record the audio before getting this out. So it's more like quantity over quality for you, Katie Joy. I will be updating the story. For those asking why I declined to cover this situation, it was because they threatened to sue me. No other reason she's covering this, but because they threatened to sue her. Not because those kids went through so much. Those kids deserve a voice. No, because those kids' parents threatened to sue her. The lawyers were relentless and would contact me if I would make a video public again after making them private. Trust me that I kept up with the happenings. I just didn't want to deal with another frivolous lawsuit when I already had one going on. Now that this is a criminal allegation, I can report without fear of legal action. I am heartbroken for these kids. Are you, Katie Joy? Because you seem to have put your feelings ahead of theirs, because you should have said that you're heartbroken for those kids first and then put you covering this because their parents threatened to sue you. The probable cause affidavit was so hard for me to read that I summarized it due to how graphic it was. These women are monsters in my opinion. Thanks for your understanding, Katie Joy. I'm going to show you the lengths Katie Joy will go through to gain favor, to put herself ahead of everybody else, to get what she wants. I know people will do what they want to do, but please hear me out as to why I feel this way. Don't feel bad for her losing money or being able to provide for her family. Katie Joy is well off. When I say well off, I mean well off. But before we get into that, my usual disclaimer, please do not take what I say as fact. Feel free to do your own research and come to your own conclusion. September 1st, Katie Joy Paulson, aka Without a Crystal Ball, has actually crawled out from under her rock, to which it was like, she really thought that maybe this was her big break. We're going to be discussing how she finally reveals herself after months of being absent on or not showing her face on her videos on YouTube, to now all of a sudden she reappears. And what a time to put yourself back out on YouTube, when it's just the perfect time or the perfect situation for her to come back. And in this situation, it has to do with child A, BUSE, and the normal things that she finds joy in discussing. So she decided to finally come out because she, as she said, she was contacted by a reporter from Fox 13 News Utah to speak about the Ruby Frankie 8-passenger situation. And then she went onto Instagram, and to her disappointment, to see if anybody had missed her. So we're going to go over everything from the time Katie Joy reappeared from out of a cave to where we at, I think, from a week ago. So as I said, grab yourself a little snack, sit tight, and enjoy all the lies that Katie Joy, aka Without a Crystal Ball, tells, and with her exposing herself. My interview about Ruby Frankie's arrest and my experience covering the story, along with the community reaction to her videos. Check out our interview with Fox 13 now. First and foremost, what's your experience, Katie Joy? Because the only experience that I can recall is how you folded when Ruby Frankie sent you a cease and desist? If you were such an advocate, if you cared so much about children's well-being, about their safety, you would have ignored that cease and desist and not said that you didn't want to face another frivolous lawsuit. What is so frivolous about standing up for kids, for their well-being, for their safety, which you claim that you do? Throughout the years, there have been so many people talking about this YouTube channel of 8 Passengers. I'm talking about from T-Spill, Spill Sesh, Dad Challenge Podcast. Oh, that's just to name a few, but it goes on and on and on. Repsion, Marky, so many have covered this problematic channel or this problematic mother that she calls parenting. So cut the bullshit, Katie Joy. Now also remember that Katie Joy has not shown her face in her videos for months, and so she decided to take this opportunity to now come and reveal herself after months. We're going to get into the interview, but before that, just to catch you guys up, who is Ruby Frankie? She is a mommy vlogger, 41 years old, from Utah. They are members of the Church of Latter-day Saints. She actually and her family actually became famous for their YouTube channel called 8 Passengers with her husband Kevin Frankie and their 6 kids. She used to post videos 5 times a week. She started this channel in 2015 where she used to discuss her so-called parenting strategies, aka mistreatment of her kids. She would talk about what she allowed her kids to watch, what she allowed her kids to read, and these kids would have a camera stuck in their face from the time they woke till the time they went to bed. Zero privacy. I personally could not stand this woman from the first video I ever saw, and then I noticed how all these YouTubers kept calling her out and discussing her bad behavior and treatment of her kids, until finally last week she was charged and arrested alongside her business partner Jody Hildebrand for aggravated CA. There are numerous channels covering this case, and I will list them in the description box if you're interested, because like I said, please do not watch Katie Joy's coverage. But at the end of the day, it's yours decision. Okay, now let's start off with the interview she did with Fox 13 News Utah.
This is to a level that I don't think anyone understood. And it's shocking, but it's not surprising. I don't know if that makes sense.
In regard to her keep looking left, right, up, down, whichever way she's looking, she was asked a question about why she does that. And her response to that was, she does that because she's nervous. So Katie Joy been on YouTube for quite a few years now, and she uploads, 3 times a day? So tell me, Katie Joy is still nervous every day? So to this day, when Katie Joy is showing her face, well, now that she's back showing her face, she still does the same thing. She still looks left, right, up, down, whichever which way. So, okay, Jen.
Independent journalist and YouTuber Katie Paulson tracks child abuse cases. She says Frankie's YouTube channel, 8 Passengers, caught her attention.
And she was saying how she would send her daughter to school with no food.
Independent journalist? Really? Obviously, this network did not do any vetting. Since when is Katie Joy an independent journalist? She tried to claim in her defamation lawsuit, which is still active right now, that she's a celebrity journalist, and that doesn't seem to be working well for her. And besides that, where are your credentials, Katie Joy? Because as per your LinkedIn page, you have a BA in Spanish and literature. So how does that translate to journalism? I'm confused. Also on her LinkedIn, she has CEO of Without Crystal Ball, October 2014 to present, 9 years. Hanover, multimedia blog that writes content for families with children with special needs. Content includes personal narratives, resources, articles, and guest authors. Now let's take a look at what her YouTube channel says. Without a Crystal Ball is the fruit salad channel of YouTube. Katie Joy covers a variety of topics including reality TV, celebrity gossip, trending news, crime, personal vlogs, and more. This channel is the most well known for coverage for Christian fundamentalism. Many people come here to talk about the Duggars and stay for the variety of topics we cover. Where does it state independent journalist? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not coming to Ruby Frankie's defense here in any way. There's enough on the table to know what a monster of a parent or a mother she is. So, Katie Joy does not need to fabricate a story, and a real independent journalist will always know the facts. And unfortunately, what she just said in that clip was not facts.
And it was almost like she was bragging about it.
You see how she adds onto a story, how she embellishes a story. You're going to look at the clip of the situation with Ruby Franke. Not coming to a defense at all. I'm just showing you exactly what went down. And tell me if you see her or if you think she's bragging about the situation.
I just got a text message from Eve's teacher, and she said that Eve did not pack a lunch today, and can I bring a lunch over to the school? This happens quite often when you're raising children, because I know that her teacher is uncomfortable with her being hungry and not having a lunch, and it would ease her discomfort if I came to the school with lunch. But I responded and just said, Eve is responsible for making her lunches in the morning, and she actually told me she did pack a lunch. So the natural outcome is she's just going to need to be hungry. And hopefully nobody gives her food and nobody steps in and gives her a lunch.
Now, you be the judge. Does Ruby Franke look like she was bragging? To me, she did look like she is invincible and she can do whatever she wants to do. She won't get involved or in trouble. But I do blame that on her audience, a 2-point-something million audience, who enabled her to keep doing this, letting her audience know what she's doing to her kids. So at the end of the day, those people that were drinking the Kool-Aid enabled her to do all this. And that's why she kept on uploading and uploading. This is not her bragging. There are clips that I've seen where Katie Joy seems to have a similarity with Ruby Franke. And I'm talking about a smirk she has on her face. And I'm talking about Katie Joy when she is discussing children being ABUSED, whereas Ruby Franke seemed to have this glee on her face every time she was reprimanding her kids. So it seems to me as though two peas in a pod. Just my thoughts.
She recalls another time when Franke's son openly talked about his punishment on the channel.
He was talking about how he had been sleeping on the floor on a beanbag chair and how his mom had taken away his...
What is the reason for the smirk on her face when she's discussing how this poor kid, had to sleep on a beanbag as punishment? How is that funny? Oh, after further researching, 3 years ago, Katie Joy seemed to have a totally different opinion about Ruby Franke, because it seems as though she was pacified by an explanation that Ruby Franke had given in an interview to Business Insider. Check this.
It's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome to my channel. Okay, so we have been covering 8 passengers, and we did a video a couple weeks ago about a video in which they put out, which had their son Chad talking about his current bedroom situation, and that led to a lot of uproar on YouTube. And then that subsequently led to Ruby sending out C&Ds to multiple YouTube channels requesting that they no longer publish certain things about her family. So let's talk about the balanced side, because now Ruby and Kevin, Franke have broken their silence, and they have actually sat down for an interview with the Business Insider. Wonderful place right now, and they have high standards and high boundaries for their kids, but Chad is doing really well and he's not chained in the basement. Okay, so that's their take. They gave him a choice, and he decided to sleep on the beanbag. He made a choice to take the doors off of his stuff. Eve's not eating was a one-time incident, according to them, and she has not made that mistake again. And she also discussed that there was real life consequences for this. So I will say this, I'm glad they shared their side of the story. I'm glad that they are presenting things for them the way in which, it's helpful, and they feel like their longtime viewers will know who they are and agree with them. And that's wonderful. I am glad for them.
bed and is taken away his door, and how he had been sent away to this wilderness camp.
Paulson also saying when she did a report on what Franke and her kids were saying in the videos, she was threatened to be sued.
And what did Katie do when she was served with cease and desist from Franke? She folded. She said she didn't want to be involved in a frivolous lawsuit again. But how frivolous can it be when one has proof in 4K. And how many other YouTubers ignored the cease and desist they received and continued to advocate for those kids and continued to call out Ruby Franke for disturbing parenting strategies. Remember, Katie Joy ignored Tati Westbrook's cease and desists? She received 4 from Tati, might I add. Always playing the victim. You're not the victim. There are 6 innocent little victims that needed you to continue to speak out, but you chose to fold and take care of yourself.
I always say, if you see something, say something. And in this case, when people said something, they were threatened. I mean, so many other people besides me received letters from those attorneys.
And those continued to speak out about Ruby Franke. Unlike you, that is just a coward. The comment section of the Fox 13 YouTube page was not kind, and not to the victims but to the network. They were inundated with negative comments about their choice of Katie Joy speaking about this situation, and I don't blame them, because it is very disappointing, because people that do follow Katie Joy know how she is with cases like this. And obviously Katie Joy was scanning the comment section because she posted this. Please, if you could leave supportive comments for the abused children who were victimized by Ruby Franke on the Fox 13 now, so they can see those comments instead of these trolls. It's about abuse and not me. No, it is about you, Katie Joy, because of how you report on the abuse of children. You do not hold back. You seem to find joy in it, which I'm going to show you guys exactly what I'm talking about, because this person left a comment. I feel awful for these children, and I'm so glad they were rescued. But Lucy Nelson should have researched the source she interviewed. Katie Joy Paulson, she is not an independent journalist. She does cover CSAM, but she mostly does tea videos on Sister Wives and the Duggars. Katie Joy has been sued for defamation several times. She had to settle those, but she is in the middle of a huge lawsuit with 7M Productions right now. She covers CSAM, yet she herself admitted online she sleeps in bed with a 10-year-old son. She has been witnessed several times online screaming at her son, neglecting her son, and making fun of people. She makes fun of religion, calls LDS a cult, and continually goes live stream on her Instagram account while inebriated. She is not a credible source for you at all. My opinion is she is a fraud and a proven liar. Do an internet search of her name and you will find out all kinds of horrible things she's done to people and lies she has told. She's vile. Amen, sister, whoever wrote this. This is the truth, what this person spoke about. No lies there. It's the truth. And also, Katie Joy, do not get it twisted. That is why all these people left these comments under that video, because they want to safeguard those children. How long do you think it's going to be until Katie Joy turns on these children? Until Katie Joy talks about the hardships, the torment, the torture that they've experienced? How long do you think it's going to take for her to do that? Then she posted, friends, my interview with Fox 13 now was part of their evening news. It was broadcast live as part of their local evening news. My contribution was to answer questions about my experience covering Ruby. Harassing the news outlet and falsely accusing me of crimes to them only shows your jealousy and vindictiveness. Go outside and touch some grass. They came to me. Bullshit. You are so thirsty. You are beyond parched at this point. It just further validates for me how much your supporters mean to you. And I'm clearly stating they mean shit to you, because if you came out of hiding to do an in-person interview, you look just fine. You could have come back sooner instead of constantly lying about your absence, which we will get into shortly. Nobody accused you of crimes. That comment that person posted was all the truth. We have shown the evidence of that time and time and time again. So why are you saying that people are jealous of you? No, Katie Joy, nobody's jealous of you. We are just trying to safeguard those kids from your evil, fucked up ways. So Katie Joy went live on her Instagram, and this is how it went down. I will be inserting myself in parts of this just to expose Katie Joy's lies. And she doesn't realize that she always gets caught out in her lies.
I just want to see if people like get excited because they see my face. Hello, it's me. Hi. My hair is really long. Yeah, it's really long. It is my face. I had to put on makeup because I did a interview with Fox 13 in Salt Lake City. And so I had to get creative and try to find a way to cover my eye. Oh, thank you for the badge. So the reporter from Fox 13.
When she clears her throat, from my observation of Katie Joy, that is when she is getting ready to tell a lie.
Contacted me this morning, and I was working out, so I had to jump in the shower and then put on makeup, and I didn't have time to like blow dry or anything. Yeah, this is like, there's gray hairs. I just threw it over.
But Katie, you didn't have a comb over during the Fox 13 News interview you did?
I was like, maybe I'll just go on Instagram.
You mean feel the waters?
I had a staph infection.
Oh, so you did have a staph infection. And it goes to show that when you were watching everybody saying how you have a staph infection, you came out and you made this post, and I quote, "I don't have MRSA, I don't have staph, I don't have cellulitis, don't have skin cancer. Thank you for your concern." So clearly, all these posts that you were making in regard to why you're not showing your face, and you guys can pause to read this, these are the lies that you were making up about the situation at hand, because you were the one that posted, "Got the sucker out of my eyebrow, skin finally," to which you explained, 2 months later, "This beast came out from under my skin. It's been inflamed and so tender. A month ago, I almost got it out, but it wouldn't budge. Today it came out with a serious tug, and OMG, did it hurt. It ran across the top of my eyelid near my eyebrow, and it contorted into a mess. That strand of hair does not look contorted. This is one piece of it, and another piece came out after. So for those wondering, nope, no plastic surgery, just a massively long eyebrow hair that was ingrown. Bullshit. My next goal, to leave the wound alone and let it heal now that this painful mess is out. Neosporin applied, band-aid on, and not touching this again. The picture doesn't really do it justice because it was all a fucking lie. It's probably 3/4 of an inch long. Unbelievable. The lengths you would go to think that people are dumb, but people were on you and exposing you. But you thought you could be one up on them and tell a lie. But then you told on yourself. You're such an idiot. So let's take a look at what does cause a staph infection. Staph infections on the eyelid can occur in a variety of ways, including rubbing your nose where staph bacteria are located and then immediately rubbing your eyes, which she does constantly in this live on her Instagram. Contaminated contact lenses or cosmetics. Dry eyes, exposure of your eyes to staph bacteria.
So you can't really see it, but yeah, it's still there. Like there's a nice big scar. But yeah, it's like I lost all of my eyebrows.
This is not me being mean, but Katie Joy has discussed previously that she has no eyebrows because of constant tweezing.
It's still a little bit swollen. I really would rather not talk about what happened to my eye. Just got infections from
I'm guessing maybe she was using old makeup, or maybe even dirty makeup brushes that she hasn't washed in like maybe 2 years.
Yeah. It's covered up, but yeah. But I definitely did not get plastic surgery. My Botox is like kind of like I need to get it touched up, but I can't. And I didn't get my nose done. I did a lot of comfort eating while I wasn't feeling good, so I've gained a little bit of weight. That's about it. That's Frida. Yeah, my husband's about to take my son's friend home, so I'm gonna have to go, but I just wanted to, yeah, I need to get my Botox redone. So, so I just wanted to jump on here real quick because Ruby and Jody were charged in Washington County. They were actually indicted, and it includes 6 charges of aggravated child abuse, and it's for RF and EF. And as far as like the other children, as far as I know from what has been reported from police, is that they were located and they appeared to be unharmed. They're a little bit older. But the abuse of RF and EF is severe.
KJ, they may be physically unharmed, but emotionally, psychologically, we can only imagine.
RF's charges, the first count actually includes physical torture. So I had a hard time reading it because the indictments are identical for both of them.
I call BS on that.
But for count 1, it says they knowingly inflicted upon a child RF serious physical injury, or having the care or custody of such child caused or permitted another to inflict serious physical injury upon said child, and such physical injury included physical torture. The second count was related to his malnutrition, and it said that it was such serious physical injury includes any conduct that results in the starvation of or failure to thrive, or malnutrition that jeopardizes the child's life. So the malnutrition for the 2 children was so severe, their lives were in danger. And then count 3 is for the emotional abuse of the injuries causing developmental or emotional harm, severe developmental delays or intellectual disabilities, or severe impairment of the child's ability to function. So there's 6 counts, 3 for each child. For EF, physical torture is not included, although for her count, there's a count 6 says that any such physical injury includes any combination of 2 or more physical injuries inflicted by the same person, either at the same time or on different occasions. So EF was physically abused, but not tortured, but it was severe abuse. And there was 2 or more physical injuries caused to EF as a result.
Let me know in the comment section after seeing and listening to her read the indictment. She seemed or sounded more bored reading this indictment, and not as she previously said that it was so hard for her to read.
It's not uncommon for a child that's been abused to be incredibly scared to talk to law enforcement, and specifically in these kinds of cultures and cults, the law is not trustworthy, and so they've likely been scared to speak to outsiders. She's probably been told her whole life not to trust anyone, not to listen to anyone, that they're not there to help her. And it's also not uncommon for children that are abused to be bonded to their abuser. So even though the child has been severely abused by Jody, she might feel bonded to her as a form of Stockholm syndrome, where she sends like a level of empathy and concern. So she's probably trauma bonded to them, sadly. But I just want to be like clear that like, I know they keep saying that the children are safe and that like they're all reunited. I don't know where that information is coming from, but according to the affidavit, RF is in the hospital because he's severely malnourished and he's has severe serious injuries. He had been tied up with a rope and he had severe injuries as a result of that. So I'm assuming that the torture, well, the sister doesn't know. I mean, they're not reunited. He's in the hospital. And the children are not, I mean, just because they're away from their abuser doesn't mean that they're like all better. This is literally stating that the abuse was so severe it caused emotional harm, severe developmental delays, or intellectual disability or severe impairment of the child's ability to function. I think you just need to kind of temper whatever the family says at this point because they're likely in shock. This is not average run-of-the-mill child abuse. This is child torture. And when you have cases like this, yes, the kids have been removed from their abuser, but they're dealing with the injuries still. I spoke to a reporter at Fox 13, and she said that the children were so emaciated that it's not even like failure to thrive. Like, they were emaciated. Like, near death, emaciated. Like, they needed medical care immediately. Thank you for the badges for those of you. I'm sorry I've not been responding. I'm not really looking at my chat. Unfortunately, like, the rules for YouTube have already changed in terms of like her channel is gone. She deleted her channel. They are not with a familial custodian. They're in protective custody with DCFS. And DCFS will never say where the child is located, and no family member should be telling the public where the children are, because the children are in protective custody because they're victims of a crime. So their location should be really none of our concern, other than the fact that DCFS has them in protective custody, meaning that this is like protective custody, just to give you sort of an understanding. There's another case that I've done in the same county, and it's children that were kidnapped and sex trafficked in the FLDS. And those children that are in protective custody are not with the family. They generally keep the children away from the family when they're in protective custody. And it's no one's business where the children are, who has the children. The state is taking care of them. They're in protective custody. They're being cared for as victims of a crime. So the agency will never tell you where the children are, and it's none of the public's business. And the family should not ever be disclosing publicly where the children are. Children that are in foster care and in state custody they have confidentiality and privacy laws for them, and nobody is supposed to know who has the child, especially in abuse cases. They are not with their father. There's a lot of assumptions going on right now. They're not with the dad. They're not with the family. They're in protective custody. And frankly, where the children are is nobody's business. They're victims in this case. And I don't know anything about the dad. That's a good question. I have to go because my husband's leaving to take my son's friend home. Yeah, I know that their last name is Frankie. I mispronounced it. Thank you for your snarky comment. Yeah, yesterday he was listed as a professor and now he's not. They're both charged with the abuse. Both Ruby and Judy are both charged. And the maximum is 15 years in this case. They got 6 charges each. Yep, 3 counts, 3 for RF and 3 for EF. And they are both denied bail. They've both been deemed a threat to the community and to the victims, and they are both deemed flight risks. Ruby does not have currently does not have a attorney listed yet, and nor does Jody. AF and JF are not listed as victims in this case. Now, this is an indictment of this specific issue. If they were to find evidence related to the other kids, that would be a whole separate case. They are being kept in separate areas of the jail, and it's usually co-defendants are not allowed to speak to each other. The children are 10 and 12. In Utah, generally, they do them consecutively. I asked the reporter at Fox 13, and she said generally they're done concurrently. But if it's a level 2 felony or higher, they can do consecutively. It just depends on the way the judge decides to sentence, but they can only be sentenced to a maximum of 30 years. They have weird sentencing laws, like life in prison in Utah is 5 years to life. It's very weird. They have very antiquated laws for their sentencing. This is, yeah, just my washed out hair color. If your only reason to come onto my live is to correct how I'm speaking and to make comments as though to start drama when we're literally talking about children that have been abused, you can exit this live and find something to do with your happy time. I'm discussing children that have been abused, and I did misspeak earlier in my video and said Frank instead of Frankie. But guess what? The news reporter at Fox 13 in Utah, in her report yesterday, she also called her Frank. So there you go.
Katie Joy, don't you get tired of throwing people under the bus? That reporter obviously has not reported on these people before. So she would have been given the grace to get away with pronouncing their surname wrong. Unlike you, that has reported on this family prior, knew full well that their surname is Frankie. Let me humor you guys. When Katie Joy was reporting on this family in 2020, before she cowered and folded after receiving the cease and desist, she knew full well that their surname was Frankie.
And then that subsequently led to Ruby sending out C&Ds to multiple YouTube channels requesting that they no longer publish certain things about her family. So let's talk about the balanced side, because now Ruby and Kevin, Frankie, have broken their silence, and they have actually sat down for an interview with the Business Insider. But the Frankies tell the Insider,
it is Frankie. But if your concern is to direct me and come at me, the issue is not about me. It's about Ruby, who is a child abuser, alleged, and her friend. Yeah, and there was audio of the 911. And yeah. And when I made the video yesterday, I knew during editing that I'd already mispronounced her name. I knew it was Frankie, but for whatever reason, I just kept saying Frank, because that's what it looks like when you're reading the court records. It doesn't look like Frankie, it looks like Frank. Okay. Your entire community is so pissed off. I don't know who your community is, but the local community, according to the report, so I did an interview with Fox 13, which is the local Salt Lake Fox, whatever. It's just like their local CBS, ABC, Fox. She said that the local community is just outraged, and a lot of people knew that this abuse was happening, but no one knew it was to this extent. I don't know anything about the children other than the victims in this case. It's very reminiscent of the Turpin case for sure. It's a lot like how Jordan had to escape from the window. I know the reporter today spoke with some neighbors in the area who were crying when they saw the kids. You have to understand, these kids were so severely malnourished and emaciated that their physical presence and the sight of them and how abused they were made the people that they went to go see to get help from start crying. That's how abused these little kids were. The man that called 911 was crying. It's horrible. And it's horrible to think that they still have a Facebook community. I know that, so Sherry was saying to have them Facebook shut down, their YouTube channels and their Facebook pages and their Facebook groups. That's probably the last thing that the police are going to want to happen right now. The police are not going to want anything deleted. They're not going to want any of the groups deleted. They're not going to want any of the DMs deleted. They're going to want access to all of that. So yes, we don't want people to participate in these groups, but at the same time, they should not be deleted because law enforcement needs access to those. It's hard to know here's the thing. I just want to put this in your shoes. Josh Duggar committed crimes.
She just couldn't help herself. She had to go back to her favorite person, Joshua Duggar. There is zero comparison with the situation. Mental note, Katie Joy. Let Josh go. He's a piece of shit. You're the only one that's obsessed with him.
Okay? Do we hold his sisters responsible for what Josh Duggar did? Do we expect his sisters to have known that he was looking at child pornography, and do we hold them responsible for that? There's only so much you can do to get law enforcement involved, and especially if there's not probable cause. If there's no probable cause, they can't see the kids, they can't get into the children.
Did I hear that right? She said they can't get into the children? What?
They didn't have enough for a search warrant. They actually neighbors had been reporting her to CPS for months. Apparently, in the beginning of 2022, she blacked out all the windows. She put paper over all the windows and sheets over all the windows. And she would leave the kids at home by themselves for weeks at a time. She cut off contact from her sisters. She's estranged from her husband. I don't know what the hell happened to this woman, other than Jody is a monster. If I win the Fox News...
If you win the Fox News? What are you talking about? Did you guys catch that too? Go back and listen to it again. Did you enter a competition to be interviewed? What are you talking about?
When that story goes live, I'll see if I can link it. I don't know how long it's going to be.
Just a mental note, Katie Joy. Your segment wasn't even a minute long.
But Lucy, the reporter, talked to someone that lived with, I think she said, with Jody, and called her a monster. Jody is horrible. So Jody used to be a therapist that was on a list that the LDS church had. So she used to get referrals from the LDS church as a licensed counselor. And so she was an approved counselor through the church for that they would resource people to and be like, this is a Mormon that you can go to for licensed therapy. So she is connected to the church. She just is no longer on their lists. I've heard the dispatch audio, the ones that came out yesterday. There's only one set of audio that came out.
She heard the dispatch audio. Has anyone heard Katie Joy talk about this poor little boy, how brave and courageous he was for what he had done, and how heartbreaking it was to hear him say it was his fault? Pay attention. She is not giving these kids the attention they deserve. She is more focused on Ruby, and in my opinion, that's why I say her intentions are not pure here. She is only covering this so she can take that jab at Ruby Frankie, because Ruby Frankie served her with the cease and desist.
Please refrain from using their full names in the comments section. I think she's divorced because she doesn't have a husband, but she does have kids. Yeah, this case is really sad. You're friends with the CUTV Channel 2 anchor. Yeah, the details are horrible. Just speaking to the reporter at Fox 13, I was horrified what she's learned from the community and from their neighbors. But she would literally leave the kids for weeks at a time. Usually there's not cameras in Utah courts. They would have to specifically ask for video to be in the courtroom. Yes, R&E were isolated. I don't know where Kevin is. Kevin wants custody of the kids, and frankly, I don't think that would be a good idea, but that's just my opinion. I think the kids need to be away from the family right now, because I feel like anyone in the family could influence the kids negatively and impede on their ability to testify if they need to testify. So they're going to protect the kids and keep them as safe as possible so they can't be tampered with. They're victims, but they're also witnesses.
I truly hope these kids do not testify. They have been through enough already.
So they're going to be protected at a different level. But I don't think that being with the family for the kids right now would be healthy, because it's clear that this family has a very unhealthy dynamic. I mean, I don't want to get mad at the sisters, but I think the last concern for the sisters at this point in time would be their YouTube careers.
She has a damn cheek talking about other people providing for their families. This sister she is talking about, that is their income. And what the fuck does she expect them to do at this point? There's nothing they can do. As she pointed out, the kids are in custody of the DCFS. But just prepare yourself for the accusations she makes against one of the sisters. She has a damn nerve.
My personal opinion would be that if you have a niece and a nephew that have been tortured, the last thing I would be thinking about is uploading content onto my YouTube channel and putting out a video stating that these things just happen and we're just so sorry and we're so glad they're safe. Clearly the sister was very upset, but it's just not necessary. And legally speaking, lawyers are going to be all over that.
Why would lawyers be all over that, Katie Joy? Would love to know your thoughts.
Chad is an adult. I think he goes to college at BYU. Yeah, Bonnie's video about, like, do I go on? Do I still post my content? Like, no, Bonnie, no. This would be a good time, Bonnie, for you to reflect on what's happened in your family's life. And it would be a good time for you to think about how for the last 3 years, you've known that these children have been abused and you've continued to make content online exploiting your own children without regard for the safety and well-being of your nieces and nephews. Kevin just wants custody of his kids, but I don't know that that would happen right now. Yeah, she did talk about silver linings. Her whole video is in my reels, so if you need to see what Bonnie said, check it out. She deleted it already. Okay, I have to go downstairs. Her first appearance is September 8th. It says, I have the full charged indictment. Oh, she's a counselor at BYU, so she probably knows Kevin. That's the community she's talking to, because Kevin worked at BYU. Kevin did not have very good reviews as a professor. Let's just say a lot of people called him an asshole.
Well, it seems as though you and Kevin have quite a bit in common, Katie Joy, because if you look at the comments section on the Fox 13 News YouTube, she is regarded as someone that is more than an asshole.
I will check my DMs, Colleen. I'm actually, I'm on a live stream, Colleen. I don't know if you know this, but when you're on a live stream, you can't check your DMs. All right. Think good thoughts for the kids. They have a long road of recovery. And I'll just continue to keep you updated. I posted the affidavit earlier. I'll be posting the indictments later. So try to stay out of the fray. No, some of them aren't fake. A lot of them are from like years ago. You can read them from like more than a year ago. So stay out of the fray, stay out of the rumor mill. Just focus on the facts.
So did you see that her demeanor totally took a turn? She wasn't as cheerful as she was at the beginning of her life. She looked defeated. And it was proven that she did not like the outcome she received because she went back under a rock. And then, as I said, when the news came out with the allegations Ruby Franke made against her kids, suddenly KJ was back to showing her face on her videos. It seems so sad to think of a person in this light as to how they enjoy discussing kids' pain, but she has demonstrated this behavior over and over again, and she has some sick and twisted thoughts, and I'm sure there are others out there that could vouch for me and have witnessed her sick and twisted ways of her coverage when covering and discussing abuse. I will be ending it here because I know this video would already be over 40 minutes and I would hate to take up your time. But part 2 will reveal to you how Katie Joy's intentions are not pure and how she'll go to any lengths to get revenge against anyone who she feels has done her wrong, including how she has no boundaries with the topic she discusses and especially sensitive topics, just so she can be the first and want to be the main source. Also, I will be showing you how she polishes herself up for YouTube opposed to other platforms, because YouTube is her money maker. I know I'm going to get those comments that's going to say you're just jealous, stop trying to take other creators down. First of all, if you are going to come with that argument that I'm jealous, just exit left. And secondly, I've never ever wanted to take her down, never ever said before do not watch her. All I ever wanted her to do is stop exploiting victims and continuously exploiting them. Do me a favor and ask yourself, if those kids were your relatives, after you see the second part of this video, which will leave you wanting to throw up, would you want a person like her speaking on behalf or reporting about your family? That video is going to be very graphic and insightful at the same time. It will prove to you that she is not who she claims to be on YouTube, and it's all about control, money, and very self-serving. Katie Joy is not a good person. As I said in the beginning, as a survivor of child sexual abuse, I am haunted daily. Because as a child I suppressed it, and now that I'm 49 years old, I have to deal with it on a daily basis, and it is so hard. Being an adult and being mature, it's hard enough. So I cannot even fathom what these kids are going through psychologically. And the last thing they need is a person like Katie Joy telling their story. Also, I have an update on Charlotte on the web. She is now streaming on Rumble. Please go show her some love. I can only imagine how disappointed she is and hurt she is for losing her channel. And last but not least, thank you to all those that allowed me to use their clips for my videos. Llama Girl, Balls 2.0, Frisco Chicken. I will leave their links and other sources that are recommended in the description box below. I do apologize if you heard baby in the background. I'm actually filming this outro on the back porch while she's in a walker, so I apologize if it offends anybody. And also, thank you guys so much for taking the time watching this video. I appreciate each and every one of you for taking the time and watching it. Have a wonderful weekend. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Please be safe out there, be kind to one another, and don't forget to make good memories. I will be back soon with part 2. Bye guys.